Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tony Rowland, and I am one of the business development managers with Holland America Line. I want to welcome you. We're going to talk about Alaska 2026 cruises and cruise tours. Hopefully you'll walk away and you have learned a little bit more about Holland America when it comes to selling Alaska cruise and cruise tours. This afternoon, we're going to discuss some of the top reasons why you would like to recommend Holland America to your guests when traveling to Alaska. We have the Glacier Guarantee. We're #1 in Alaska Wildlife and Wilderness Tours. We provide complimentary Denali tours and the We Heart Alaska experience. I'm going to talk about that. Fresh local seafood and the luxury rail experience. Now let's dive into We Heart Alaska, or We Love Alaska. It's so important for Holland America that our guests not only visit Alaska, but discover, taste, and experience. And when it comes to discovering Alaska, we want you to learn a whole lot about that destination, that beautiful great land, through presentations. We bring on park rangers. People from the First Nation will come on board the ship and really let our guests know what to expect and to experience during their cruise. Now, when people visit certain destinations, they want to taste the local food, the local culture. And it's important that when we're visiting Alaska, the seafood is foremost, the fresh berries. Our menus will change daily. And when it comes to experiencing Alaska, think about the great tours that we offer. We have over 175 wildlife tours that our guests can select from. Whether it's kayaking, on a boat, fishing, there's a whole lot to see and do. And when you discover Alaska, the onboard enrichment is so important. When we are cruising through Glacier Bay, we will bring on a park ranger and a local from the First Nation tribe. They will board the ship as we are entering Glacier Bay. They board early in the morning and they're with us the entire time we are cruising through Glacier Bay. The park ranger is going to point out the ecological system, wildlife, answer questions, and they will also bring their passport stamp. So if you have any clients that visit our national parks, make sure they bring along the passport book so that they can get it stamped. Also, the local from the native First Nation tribe is going to give you information about their culture and experiences and way of life that dates back thousands of years. And then taste Alaska for the fresh flavors. Holland America Line is the only cruise line with triple certified sustainable, wild-caught, and responsible farm seafood. So basically what that means is once the seafood is caught, it is served within 48 hours to our guests. And we also have a partnership with Iron Chef Morimoto because he's known for his unique flavoring of seafood. And we serve items in our dining room, and also fleet-wide, we have a pop-up Morimoto restaurant. And we have an excursion that's called Savor My Catch. If you have any clients who love to fish, please tell them about this excursion. It's a fun fishing excursion, and whatever they catch, they bring it back to the ship, and it's prepared for them and served in the dining room. So when you experience Alaska on our shore excursions, we want you to connect with Alaska and, of course, the wildlife excursions, and maybe take an excursion that will get you really close to the glaciers. And on board our ship, dining. That's very important. As I mentioned, people want to taste the local culture of the destination that we're visiting. And with Holland America, we have so many options when it comes to dining. We have our complimentary dining room. We have the Lido deck. We have room service. And then, of course, our amazing specialty restaurants for our guests to enjoy coffee, pizza, hamburgers, bars, and lounges. The list goes on and on. And one thing that I love about our ships, they're perfectly sized ships. Our largest ship will hold about 2,600 passengers, and our smaller ship around 1,400. This means that we have a lot of activities on board our ship, whether it's day or night. During the day, we have pickleball, tai chi, different types of organized activities. And then at night, please encourage your clients that after they have enjoyed a wonderful meal, that they take in the time to explore our different music venues, such as BB King's, the Rolling Stone Lounge, Billboard Onboard, and 3rd Avenue, and of course, song and dance on the world stage. And we can't forget the spa experience on board our ships with wellness and fitness options for everyone to enjoy. Now let's talk about Alaska. One unique thing about Holland America Line is that we not only do cruises to Alaska, we do cruise tours to Denali, and we're the only cruise line that would do a cruise tour to Denali and the Yukon. So when you place Alaska and the Yukon territory on the lower 48, you see just how massive it is. It goes as far east as Savannah, Georgia, all the way over to California, North Dakota, and down to Texas. Now, when you focus in on the Yukon on the right side, the Yukon is about 14% larger than the state of California, with less than 50,000 residents. So if you have anyone who loves the wilderness, loves Mother Nature, this would be the perfect fit for them. Now, let's talk about with Holland how you can experience Alaska. You can experience by Alaska cruise and cruise tours. We're going to start with the cruise. Holland America has been taking guests to Alaska since 1947. That's a long time, and we've learned a lot about that beautiful, great land. We started taking guests before it was even a state. Now, when you look at our ships, one thing I want to highlight about our entire fleet, we have the capability of opening up the bow of the ship. This is the bow of the ship, which gives our guests that 360-degree view. And you can see we do have lots of verandas. We have open space at the top. However, when you are doing scenic cruising, and cruising to the glaciers is definitely scenic cruising, we open up the bow so that you can get that beautiful view. It's nothing like that. And another thing that we did that's a little bit different is I love to go for walks in the morning, and our promenade deck, that's the one deck that goes completely around the ship. It's lower. And the reason being is when we're cruising through Alaska, it's the marine life that you can see. And also it allows our guests who may book an inside stateroom or an outside stateroom, they don't have the luxury of having a balcony to sit out and enjoy. And on most of our ships, we have lounge chairs that are on the promenade deck with blankets. They can bring a cup of coffee, hot chocolate, and enjoy the view. While we're cruising the glaciers, they could be out on the bow, they can be on the lounge chairs, or when we are approaching a port of call. To me, it's so beautiful to see the beautiful waterfalls and the scenery as we approach, and to encourage them to be out and about so that they can enjoy the beauty. And of course, hopefully, they'll see some marine life, such as the orca, the sea otter, the harbor seal, and the humpback whale. Now, this is a view of what it looks like when we open up the bow. This is Marjorie Glacier, and this is inside of Glacier Bay. So you can see that view is spectacular, and this is another view. And when we open up the bow, we do serve our famous and popular Dutch pea soup. It's nice and warm, and you're out there. And when we open the bow, like say, for example, we're in Glacier Bay, it's open for 8 hours, so people can come and go as they please. And also the park ranger and the local from the First Nation, they'll come out on the bow and speak with our guests, take photos, answer questions. Now let's look at the itineraries that we offer. With cruising, we offer between 7 to 28 days. And this is an example of a few of our itineraries that we offer, we will depart out of Seattle or Vancouver. Now, if you have clients who really want to cruise the Inside Passage, I would recommend having them cruise out of Vancouver, because as you can see, this will go through the Inside Passage, and this part right here is called the Gulf of Alaska. Now, say for example, it's important that they have the port side, and you cannot find a stateroom or a veranda on the port side. No worries. When we are cruising the Inside Passage, it's hundreds of islands along the way. So the majority of their journey, they're going to have land on both sides. Now, if they're doing a cruise tour, more than likely they're going to either do a northbound or a southbound cruise. What I wanted to highlight with that, like say for example, we do land first and we're going to do the cruise. We're going to board the ship in Whittier. When you're cruising southbound, we're going to cruise two glaciers, Glacier Bay and Hubbard Glacier. And we're going to stop in Skagway, Juneau, Ketchikan, and of course, cruise the Inside Passage and disembark in Vancouver. When you're going northbound, same ports of call, Glacier Bay, and you're going to stop in Hubbard Glacier and then disembark in Whittier and begin your land journey. We do offer 14-day itineraries. They will depart like May, August, and September. They will go up to Valdez and Kodiak. And we have one that would do round trip Vancouver and then out of Seattle. We do offer in 2026 a 28-day Arctic Circle solstice cruise. It's going to depart one day on June the 7th, and it's round trip Seattle, and you will go as far north and cruise the Bering Sea. Now let's talk a little bit about the glaciers. Alaska has over 100,000 glaciers. Not all of them are named, but let's talk about some of the mighty glaciers that are named and the glaciers that Holland will take our guests to. We're going to start with Glacier Bay National Park. Glacier Bay is massive. It is part of the World UNESCO Heritage Site. It's over 3 million acres, and it's part of the 25 million acre of the Inside Passage. It's also one of the world's largest international protected areas. And when you go through Glacier Bay, because it's a national park, you're going to see some wildlife. Hopefully brown bears, mountain goats, sea otters, sea lions, the harbor seals, and bald eagles when we're cruising through Glacier Bay. And as I mentioned, it is a top attraction in North America. Hubbard Glacier. Hubbard Glacier is about 25% larger than the state of Rhode Island. It's 1,200 feet deep. At its base, it's about 72 miles wide, and it has a beautiful iceberg. College Fjord, I love College Fjord. It's small but mighty. It has these large 5 tidewater glaciers, and a tidewater glacier is where the glacier meets the ocean. Then it has smaller glaciers as we're cruising through. Tracy Arm, it's known for the Twin Sawyer Glacier, north and south. Now, if your clients want to experience Tracy Arm, they have to purchase an excursion. So how this works is before the ship docks into Juneau, anyone who's purchasing excursion, a boat will pull alongside the ship. You board the boat, and you will begin your entrance into Tracy Arm. Tracy Arm kind of winds and curves. It's about 30 miles long, and the tour is about 6 hours. And once you're inside of Tracy Arm, you'll see beautiful granite cliffs, waterfalls, and hopefully a lot of wildlife such as brown bears. And as you can see, the glacier, the iceberg in front is very beautiful. It has one of the prettiest icebergs in Alaska. And then once the tour is completed, the boat will take you back, will take you to Juneau where the ship is docked. You can board the ship, have lunch, maybe go off, explore downtown Juneau, do some shopping, or do another excursion. Mendenhall Glacier. This is the one glacier I tell people you can actually see from the parking lot. Mendenhall Glacier is about 13 miles north of downtown Juneau. You can experience this glacier via helicopter, boat, kayak. You can also do a walk. Now, this is what I chose to do to walk to the glacier. It's a nature path. It's about a mile walk to get to the glacier. Along the way, you will pass smaller waterfalls. Hopefully you'll spot some black bears. I was able to see a mama bear and her 3 cubs. That was so nice. There's also a visitor center that you can stop, ask questions, learn a lot about Mendenhall Glacier. Once you get to the glacier, you're going to have the glacier, beautiful large waterfall, and this is beach. This is sand, actually, so you have all 3 together at Mendenhall Glacier. Now, Holland America started our Glacier Guarantee. This is new. We started this year, early on in the season. This means that if for whatever reason the ship is not able to cruise their glacier and your clients do not experience a glacier on their cruise, they will receive 15% of their cruise fare back in a future cruise credit. You do not have to do anything because guest relations will automatically be notified that unfortunately the ship was not able to cruise through the glacier. They will issue the future cruise credit to your client, and it'll be attached to their Mariner number, and you'll receive confirmation. So there's nothing to do on your end. Now let's talk a little bit about Cruisetour. To me, this is the best of both worlds. You're going to combine cruise and the land, because keep in mind, when you do cruise only, you can only see just a little bit of Alaska. However, if you were to do a cruise tour, you're going to go to the heart of Alaska, actually the center of Alaska, which is Denali. So with that, you're going to have the luxury rail experience, the complimentary Denali tours. And for those who want to go into the Yukon, there's an option to do a cruise tour that will include the Yukon. And the Yukon has a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which I will talk about a little bit on. And of course, enjoy the wildlife on the land. Now, luxury rail. This is how we get to Denali. It's a bi-level train. It's beautiful. As you can see, it has this wonderful clear dome and plenty of leg room. All of the seats face forward. You'll have a tour director on board and also a bartender and barista to keep you happy. And on the second level is the dining room, which you'll be able to enjoy either breakfast or lunch. And it's cooked to order. Everything is fresh. The food's good. It also has an open air platform if you want to go outside, get some photos. Now, this train goes really slow, so the tour conductor is able to point out wildlife, give you a little bit of history, and it's very relaxing, and you will enjoy the ride. And you're being pulled by the Alaska Railroad. Now, once you reach Denali, you're going to stay at the Holland America Denali Lodge, which we have renamed. This is a beautiful lodge. It's 60 acres. It sits on the Nenana River, and in the background, you have Denali National Park and Mount Healy. It's beautiful scenery, very quiet, serene, and you can hear the sounds of the river. Now, the resort is large. The lodge is very big, and we have shuttles. These shuttles run every 5 minutes. It takes you around the lodge. It takes you up to the main lodge, which sits up at the top. When you are at the Holland America Denali Lodge, we have Denali Suites. This is great to upgrade your clients, because if you book anybody in the suite category on the ship, I want you to know that suite status does not follow them on the land portion. So if I were you, I would automatically upgrade them to Denali Suites. Denali Suites is beautiful, and the rooms have heated bathroom floors, heated towel racks, and it comes with a balcony that overlooks Denali Square or Mount Healy. Now, Denali Square is an area that I love to tell people it's great for you to go and meet up if you're traveling with family and friends after a long day of excursions. You go to Denali Square, you sit outside, you can roast marshmallows. There's a boardwalk with shops and restaurants that you can enjoy. There's live music. There's a whole lot going on in the middle of that square. We also have an in-residence artist cabin that they can go and learn about their artistry work. The next day, your clients will experience Denali National Park. Now, remember I said that we include the Tundra Tour. Now, on this map, this is the entrance of the national park. And this blue line right here, this is called the Natural History Tour. A lot of cruise lines will include that tour. As you notice, it only goes to mile marker 16. However, a full Tundra tour is going to take you past the best bear viewing area and the best wildlife viewing area. Now, this tour is about 6 hours. Normally, they get like a little box snack. And along the way, we do make stops. We point out wildlife. There's a restroom stop for our guests, and hopefully it's a clear day, and they'll be able to see Mount Denali. And hopefully they'll see the top 5, which is the caribou, the moose, the Dall sheep, the grizzly, and the gray wolf. Now, this park is about 6 million acres. There's only one road in, and you use that same road to get out. They're very protective of that road, and so they use school buses. These are school buses because they're lighter and on the road. It's not as heavy as a regular bus or coach would be. And they do paint them, and the colors kind of blend in with the landscape. And on the bus, they do have these cameras. So say, for example, the Dall sheep. If you know anything about Dall sheep, they love to hang out on the sides of the mountains, which sometimes you can't really see them close up. You may just see like a white puff. It looks like cotton far, far off. Well, they have cameras, and they're able to do a video. And then there's these monitors that drop down in the bus. And so you're able to see the Dall sheep as they move around. It's really cool. I would encourage you to have your clients stay at least 2 nights in Denali. There's so many excursions that they can do. They can do a helicopter, whitewater rafting, AV. They can go visit and learn how they train the puppies to do the Itineraries. And one thing I wanted to highlight or point out to you guys, that at our lodge, they do bring the puppies to the lodge. So the day that you check in, ask them, and they usually bring them about 3 days out of the week. Ask them what days they're bringing the puppies. You can actually pet them and play with them. It's a nice experience, and they'll tell you how they train them. This is one of my favorite excursions in Denali, is to land on a glacier on a clear day. And if you spend at least 2 or 3 nights in Denali, you do have that option. Now, I had mentioned that Holland America is the only cruise line that will take guests up into the Yukon. I love the Yukon. It's especially Dawson City. Dawson City is like stepping back in time. You learn all about the Gold Rush era. And this little town sits on the Yukon River. And as you can see, it's very colorful. There's not a lot of tall buildings whatsoever. There's only one paved road in Dawson City, and they have these raised boardwalks. This is how people get around, and it's just very, very fun. And as I mentioned, Dawson City now is a UNESCO World Heritage Site for the Trondeck First Nation, who lived along the Yukon River for over 1,000 years. So there's some history. And in 2026, we have a new tour. This is a 13-day Alaska, Denali, and Yukon cruise tour. This is a fun one, and I'm just going to highlight how it works. Say, for example, you just want to hit Dawson City and spend a couple of days. So this will start in Fairbanks. And then you will take a private jet, and this is a 737 jet, and this jet is only for Holland America guests. The flight is less than an hour, and you take the flight over to Dawson City. You can spend a couple of days just exploring. You go to where they go dredge. You're able to visit that. and just spend time there, and then you fly back to Fairbanks. And then from Fairbanks, we take you down to Denali. You'll spend a couple of nights at Holland America Denali Lodge. You do the Tundra Tour. Then you board the McKinley Explorer, the bi-level train that will take you down to Whittier. And this is where you board the ship. And then you will cruise on a 7-day cruise. You'll do Skagway, Juneau. And on the southbound, you're going to hit Hubbard Glacier, Glacier Bay, Ketchikan, cruise to the Inside Passage, and then disembark in Vancouver. That's a great tour for those who just want to have a little taste of the Yukon. Now, when it comes to experiencing a cruise tour, we have several options for your clients to choose from. We have the classic Alaska in Denali, the signature Alaska in Denali, ultimate Alaska in Denali, and of course, Alaska Denali in the Yukon. One thing I want to highlight when it comes to the classic, when you look at how many nights at Denali National Park, this one only has 1 night. Now, if you do 1 night, remember I talked about the natural history tour that will take you to mile marker 16. If you only stay 1 night in Denali, you do not have enough time to do the full Tundra tour. So please make sure that you are qualifying your clients and let them know that if they select the classic Alaska in Denali, they will go to the park, but they will only do the natural history tour. The rest of these will either have 2 to 3 nights in Denali. Now, let's learn how to decipher the cruise tour. I started off as a travel advisor, and deciphering cruise tours was just challenging. I didn't understand it. So I just want to break it down for those who are new to cruise tours. It's very easy. When you look at the numbers, a D1, a D3, a D8, it doesn't mean amount of days. It's just how we load it into Polar for pricing. What you want to look at is up here, 2 or 3 nights Denali. That's going to be the key. And as you can see down here, a D8 will only have 1 night at in Denali. Now, if you are booking in OneSource or you're calling Reds and you want to do a cruise tour and they ask you the cruise number, all you can say, oh, I want a D1. And if you do land first, it would be a D1L. If you do cruise first, it would be a D1C. And as you can see, a D1 will do 1 night in Fairbanks, 3 nights in Denali, 1 night in Anchorage, board the ship, and do a 7-night cruise. It's that easy. And this is a great map to show for those who are just doing a cruise only. This is how much of Alaska. You're going to see Alaska, but when you do a cruise tour, you're going into the center of Alaska. And then for those who want to hop over to the Yukon, you're really going to enjoy the wilderness. So this is a breakdown of the D1. It's 12-day. You're going to have a 7-day Glacier Discovery cruise, 3 nights Denali, 1 night Anchorage, 1 night Fairbanks. And on this side, it's going to give you the dates and the ship for land first and cruise first. Now, the same would apply if you're doing the Yukon. So instead of the D, you're going to have a Y. One thing I want to highlight, when you do the Yukon, you have more options on the cruise portion. If you're just doing Denali, you must do a 7-night cruise. However, if you include the Yukon, you have, excuse me, a choice of a 7-night cruise and land, a 4-night cruise and land, or a 3-night cruise and land. Now, I would suggest like a 4-night or 3-night cruise and land tour for those who may have cruised to Alaska before, but they're deciding, you know what, I want to do some land. I didn't do land this time. Offer Alaska Denali Yukon cruise tour, and they can have a shorter cruise. Or you may have clients who do not want to do a longer cruise. They want to do a shorter cruise and more land. This would be the perfect option. I do want to highlight though, if you do a 4-night cruise, you will cruise through Glacier Bay. If you do a 3-night cruise, we do not have enough time to cruise through Glacier. We'll cruise through the Inside Passage. So please, again, qualify your client. And then if you are really going up into the Yukon, say for example, I'm doing the cruise. I disembark in Skagway. We're going to spend a couple of days in Skagway. Then we're going to go up to Whitehorse and spend the night in Whitehorse, and then on to the Yukon, spend a couple of days, Dawson City. Spend a couple of days in Dawson City, take that private jet over to Fairbanks, and then you overnight in Fairbanks. You're going to do the river discovery boat down to Denali, a couple of nights in Denali, take the train down to Anchorage overnight, and then you fly home. That's if you do cruise first and then the land portion. And as you can see, this is the shorter one for the 2 nights in Denali. Oh, and I forgot, we do overnight in Skagway. I love Skagway. Skagway is this charming little town, just sort of like Dawson. And once the ships leave, you have all of downtown to yourself. They have about 1,500 residents and lots of restaurants. The food is amazing in Dawson and Skagway. Now, when it comes to figuring out what is included in the tour, say for example, I don't know, I don't remember. Did I tell them everything is included? Did I get it right? In the brochure, we have this page with the cruise tour features. All you have to do is look for the cruise number. Like say we did a D5. If there's a check mark, it's included. If it's a P, it's a pre or post excursion, you can add that on. If it's an R, that's the railroad. M, they're going to be transferred like from Anchorage to Denali on a motor coach. And U means upgrade. So this is going to be like, you always want to keep a copy of this at your desk so you automatically know what's included in all of our tours. And as you can see, it also includes the Yukon. Meal plans. Keep in mind that once they are on the land portion, they are responsible for their meals. We do have several options that they can choose from. We have one that would include breakfast only, so breakfast will be included at all of their hotel stays. And then we have what's called the Denali dining plan. If they only want to do a dining plan for Denali, reason being, Denali is in the middle of nowhere. And so your main options would be to dine at the restaurants inside of the lodge. Across the street, I do believe there's a Subway or a pizza place, but the Denali dining plan is great because it's going to include breakfast and I think lunch for the Tundra, and they're going to get meal vouchers for dinner. And that meal voucher they can actually use at our steak and seafood restaurant. And it includes the gratuity. They can also use the meal voucher because at our lodge, we have what's called Music Up Denali. It's a dinner and music show that they can enjoy. So think about that. And then the other option is a full dining plan. The full dining plan will have meals throughout their entire land excursion that they can use. Now, when I talk about the upgrades in Denali, all of our rooms at the Denali Lodge has been refurbished, but the Denali suites is a true upgrade. And the cost to upgrade to a Denali suite is $99 per person per night. And some of the amenities that they receive would be an in-suite refrigerator, premium bathrobes, the Peloton blankets, coffee machine, a s'mores kit, because in the middle of Denali Square is a fire pit and you can sit and roast marshmallows. And then we also have the deluxe staterooms. Those are rooms in the same building. However, they do not have verandas and they're $49 per person per night. So think about that when upgrading your clients on the land portion. Finally, I want to talk about our connections programs for small affinity groups like pickleball groups, quilting, dance, wine, cheese, families traveling together. We do have large groups, which is 8 staterooms, but you can also book a small group. It's a minimum of 5 staterooms that would allow you to have a connections group. And so what you do is you call the group department, or you can book on OneSource. And say, for example, you book 5 staterooms. You want to send your invoice to your local business development manager. They will turn it into a connections group and assign additional gap points to the group, which means that you will get 2 extra gap points. And for whatever reason, if it drops down to 4 staterooms, guess what? You keep your gap points. Now you can earn a tour conductor, so you would need at least 6 staterooms to earn a TC. This is the max of 24 guests, and you can earn up to 2 TCs. And with our small groups, there's no group deposit. So keep that in mind, especially if you are booking Alaska. Alaska is great for multi-generations, for families traveling together. It's so easy to get 5 staterooms. Wow, you have a group. Or couples who are traveling together. So it's very, very easy to get those additional amenities. And today is the start of wave season. So if you book or purchase the Have It All, we have fares as low as $129 per person per day, 50% reduced deposit, free balcony upgrades, free kids fares, and if they book by January the 31st, they can get up to $400 onboard credit, and that's based on the category that they're booked in. This promo offer ends February the 28th. I want to thank you for taking time to learn about Holland America 2026 cruise tours. I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you.